Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a briefing from www.central-mosque.com about a new phenomenon which is taking hold amongst Muslims, which is Dārul-Iftā WhatsApp groups. MashaAllah, a lot of ulama have taken this initiative where they've created these WhatsApp groups and people can go and ask questions and have their queries answered quickly. Across the geographical boundaries, there are many countries where people don't have ready access to ulama, and this is a fantastic initiative. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give barakah in it. I have observed many of these groups. I am part of some of them. So this is just based on my experience, some good practices which I've learned from various as to how people run it. So of course, we have ulama from different countries, and how they cater for people from their countries. So these are just an amalgamation of good practices and how some of this could be incorporated into your WhatsApp groups. Recently, I learned that a human being can learn to modify a behavior or a habit in just a matter of 21 days. So if there's something that you're doing and you're part of these WhatsApp groups, that's absolutely fine. It will only take you 21 days to modify your habit. If there's something in this which you are not doing, again, if you want to adopt, it's just a matter of 21 days, 3 weeks. Try it out, and inshallah, you will see some improvement. As always in these presentations and briefings, this is simply my opinion. If this helps you, alhamdulillah, go ahead and adopt it. If it doesn't, it is just simply my opinion. It is up to you. Jazakallah khair. Let's proceed. The issue that I want to concentrate on here is bidirectional communication. What is bidirectional communication? Bidirectional communication means the communication is happening in two different directions, i.e., someone's speaking, someone's listening, the listener's then responding, the speaker is analyzing the answer of the one who responded and can then ask a follow-up question and the other person can respond. So basically communication is happening in two directions. The way I'm now talking to you, you're simply listening to my voice. It's an example of a unidirectional communication, i.e., you have got no way to respond to what I'm saying. Let's say I say something which is wrong, or there's a typo on the screen here, or something I've misspelled communication, for example. You have no way to stop me right then and there, say, you know what, fix it. It's just one-way communication. So what we want to establish here is bidirectional communication. So i.e., people have a chance to interact, and the medium that we want to focus on here is, of course, as the title of the presentation said, is WhatsApp. So what am I talking about here? So these are the ulama. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that ask the ulama about what you know not. So the ulama, the experts, they've gone to learn Islamic knowledge, spent a lot of time. Many of us have not. These are us, the people. So how can communication happen? One way is a unidirectional communication. How does unidirectional communication happen? This way. So for example, you go to listen to a Friday sermon, the Imam of the mosque, he talks, you're the people, you listen. That's unidirectional. That's fine. That's okay. That's one way of communication. So what happens if you have some feedback or you have some concerns or something you didn't understand? You said, Imam, I heard you last Friday, I didn't quite get you. So here is when you have a chance to actually go and speak to the ulama, saying, you know what, I heard you, but I have another question. Or the communication can might as well start from you. I have a question. You ask an alim, he responds. This is bidirectional communication, and this is the optimal communication that you want to concentrate on. It continuously, so it's a cycle, alhamdulillah. So you are talking, they're responding, then you have a follow-up question, and alhamdulillah, you can rectify your life and come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is bidirectional communication. So WhatsApp is a very good medium for doing that, for establishing this bidirectional communication. Now, whenever you want to establish communication, you want to cut out the chatter, you want to cut out the nonsense. Let me give you an example. Let's say you and your friend are traveling on a train or a bus and it's crowded and everybody around you is talking. Okay, you want to concentrate on what your friend is saying, he wants to listen to you, but there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of chat around you. What you want to do is you want to cut that out. In order for this bidirectional communication to be effective, let's say this is your friend, this is you, you want to cut out everything else. You want to concentrate on what he's saying or she is saying. She wants to concentrate on what you are saying. So there are two brothers or two sisters or family, husband, wife, whoever is communicating. You want to cut out the chatter. That is where you make communication effective and focused. You want to cut out all the nonsense from the middle, and you want to have a communication channel which is pristine, clear, and that way you can understand what the other person is saying. The other person can respond to what you're asking. So what we want to do is not only we want to have a bidirectional communication, want to have bidirectional effective communication. So how do we create this effective bidirectional communication in WhatsApp? Any medium of communication, it always has advantages and it has disadvantages. Before you can look at how to communicate, you need to see what are the advantages and disadvantages of this medium. So what are the advantages of WhatsApp? It's cheap, relatively cheap for many people. They can have Wi-Fi access for free in many areas. So it's cheap, it's quick. The minute you send a message, a person gets it if they're online, of course, but the delivery is quick. You can have text, you can have voice, you can have emojis, there's the little images of, smiley faces, whatever. It's global, so you could be sitting in one part of the world and you can communicate quickly. As I've said quickly twice, so you can communicate quickly across the globe to another person. You can communicate in multiple languages, again, using any of these, voice or text. You can type in Arabic, you can type in Urdu, you can type in whatever language, and of course, you can record your voice in the language. So these are the advantages of WhatsApp. What are the disadvantages? When you learn about communication and you do various courses on communication, you realize that 80% of communication is body language. Okay? So here you go right there. 80% is observing the person. So let me describe to you an example. Mufti Ibrahim Desai, who runs the Ask Imam website. Um, I met Mufti Saab a few years ago in Croydon. Okay, so when I got there, Mufti Saab wasn't there. So we had an appointment and we had some time in our appointment. We just sat there. Mufti Saab came about 15-20 minutes before Asr. So anyway, he came. He didn't see us. He was in another part of the masjid. So what we did is I could have got there interrupted, but I just wanted to see what he actually does. How? Because I've only seen him. I know about his website, blah blah blah. But I'd never seen him, never observed him, never met him. So what I did is I sat on in one part of the masjid and I observed what he does. Okay, so I took the time to observe. He made his sunnah. He read 4 rakat sunnah. Then we had Asr. Again, I didn't interrupt him. I sat at the back of the masjid. I saw him, what he does, how he does tasbih, how he does dua. I basically simply observed his body language, right? So while he was doing that, other people came. Now, so it was my time for the appointment, and he was looking around. He didn't know who I was. I didn't know. I kind of figured out that that was him, but I did not interrupt him. I wanted to observe his body language, not only his words. So I spent a lot of time learning how he prayed his salah, how he did his tasbih, what he did, and so on and so forth. That is body language. The biggest advantage of WhatsApp, there is no body language. So all you're doing is you're getting these words. Secondly, there are studies that prove that people, are seem to have anonymity cloak. So if you are speaking to someone in person, then you would not speak or address a person in that manner versus if you're on Facebook or some other chat software or WhatsApp or whatever. People think that they can get away with disrespect and sometimes even abuse. Okay, and you can see that happening, right? In WhatsApp groups you can clearly see that, right? The way people address, they would not talk like that, or they would not address like a person in real life, face to face. Third, lack of privacy. Once the words are there, they're there, right? The person can use them against you, or it's on the internet, it's gone. Fourth, there's no effective search. I know there's search in WhatsApp, but it's not really effective. Okay. Fourth, there's no archival, there's no backup system. I know what you're going to say is you can back up WhatsApp chats and you can retrieve them and you can look at it, but it is quite rudimentary. Okay, it is quite basic versus if you had a website or something like that, you can archive that, you can index that. Together, these two go together. So you can search them, you can back them up, and so on. The last two are specific to the groups. Number one, anybody can come into a WhatsApp group. Okay, it is extremely difficult. It's possible, but extremely difficult to well nigh impossible to disable someone's access. So I sent a link out, but I don't want certain people to join. These people will come in, I can remove them, and these people can come back in, right? There's no way to actually do that. Last, if you're in a WhatsApp group, it's annoying because people, one person sends a message and this person can dump any kind of information. And this is the biggest problem with WhatsApp group. Most of the Muslims simply dump information, right? They feel like they're doing something. So right now the topic is the Rohingya Muslims. So any information, no matter if it's good news, factual news, fake news, they simply dump it. Okay. Now, however many people are in the group are not annoyed because you're in this group for a reason. For some particular reason, you want to take advantage of it, but you have to sift through all of this information because people decide to dump information in this group. So these two, where the access to the group cannot be controlled, who comes into it, who joins it cannot be controlled, and alerts, alert after alert after alert, because people don't use these groups effectively. This last is the reason why many people leave the groups. You'll notice many people leave the groups. The reason they leave the groups is they join the group and they're trying to take advantage of Islamic information or something, but it's continuously ping, 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 ping. Maybe it's costing data, it's costing, their phone's battery life, whatever. So now you can get around that by muting the group. Okay. You can Google that, mute the WhatsApp group so you can only take a look at it whenever you want to. So you can work around that. However, it is annoying. So these are the advantages versus disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is the lack of body language and the anonymity cloak. So this is the reason why many people fall out from each other in WhatsApp groups, because when I'm talking to you, you cannot see my body language. You don't know what I mean. You don't know if I'm angry. You don't know if I'm right. You don't know if I'm wrong. So you can say the most nastiest thing to someone in a WhatsApp group, just put a smiley face at the end of it, and what? So does that mean, I'm laughing at you? I'm happy? No. I'm just, you can deliberately, the lack of body language makes effective communication difficult. However, there are advantages of this which can be exploited. So remember that there are advantages and disadvantages in this system. So how do people get annoyed in these groups, or how can you annoy someone without you even knowing you? So this is me, or suppose that is you, anyone. People come in the group and they say, you know what? Salam. Very innocuous. This is salam alaikum, brother. Or you get a response and you say, you know what? I'm going to say jazakallah. Or somebody else is asking a question to a mufti. It's a very simple answer. So, you know what? Let me go ahead and reply. Instead of this person waiting, let me try to help. Let me reply. So, this, you're looking at the world from your perspective. This is you. I've done nothing wrong. I've said salam. Done nothing wrong. I've said jazakallah. I've done nothing wrong. I've simply answered a question. This is from your perspective. Now flip this and take a look at what impact it has on everybody else. Here you go. Your message is going out and you have up to 256 people and it's gone ping, 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 ping in 256 other phones. That's what you've done. Everybody has to now look at, because they have joined the group not to listen to you or your salam or your jazakallah or your simple answers. They've joined the group to listen to a sheikh or a mufti or someone. They have to sift through your messages. So you have caused inconvenience to up to 256 members by simply sending one salam or saying one jazakallah or simply answering a question. Now, I had a good discussion with a very good brother this afternoon. So, he's a scholar, mashallah. So he saw a quick question, he answered it, and immediately he replied to me, and he said, you know what, sorry about that, because he understood. The reason being is people in the group don't know that he's a scholar. But if you let all of these people, 256, answer every single random question, how are you going to sift through who's a scholar, who's not? This group is being run by a scholar or a designated 2 or 3 or 4 or however many scholars are designated in this group. You can't simply go in there and start answering questions unless you're permitted, of course. Your salam, your jazakallah, your messages, announcement, Sheikh such and such is visiting my mosque, this is happening in my mosque, that is happening in my mosque. It just completely annoys people, destroys their phones, destroys their data, destroys their time. So looking, as I said, look at it from your perspective. All I've done is simply said salam. Look at what your salam has done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Multiply and take it up to 256. That's what your single salam has done. Your single jazakallah has gone to 250, potentially up to 256 people. Your simple answer, 256 people. These people are not there to listen to you. They're there to listen to the sheikh. So please keep that in mind. Now, if you realize that you do that, you say salam, you say jazakallah, this and that, and for everybody, you flood the group. Basically, it's called flooding the group. Don't say sorry, because saying sorry again, you're going to flood 256. If you want to say sorry, in each group there's a group administrator. Message this person privately and say, you know what, I forgot, I am sorry. That's it. Don't send another sorry to apologize and cause a problem to everybody else. So this is, you're looking at the world up to here, your salam, your jazakallah, your simple answers from your perspective. Flip this and start looking at the impact of your simple salam to everybody else. Now, about asking questions. So this is me again or you again. You say, you know what? I'm going to ask a question. It is cryptic. I haven't really focused my thoughts. So my question is, I did 3 rakat in Asr instead of 4. What should I do? That's what my question is supposed to be. Instead, you come up with a question like, if I do 3 rakat, what am I supposed to do? Or any other thing cryptic. You haven't really focused your thoughts. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. When I was studying under Sheikh Abu Yusuf, uh, the first thing he taught us, he says, before you can ask a question is half of your learning. If you cannot focus your thoughts, if you cannot organize your thoughts in asking a question, you're wasting the time of a scholar because you haven't really thought about your own question. So do not ask. So from your, again, this we're looking at it from your point of view. You say, you know what? That's how the thought came in my mind, unfiltered. I've simply dumped it to 256 people, specifically the Mufti. Then writing in text message language. Okay. So you say, you know what? I don't want to be funny, FNY. Would this be great, GR8, if I do this? So one more time, you haven't taken the thought, you haven't taken the time to formulate your thought to write in a manner which is consistent, but you've simply dumped it. Lastly, I'm not going to bother with any of that. I'm not going to bother organizing my thought. I'm not going to bother writing my question in a manner. I'm simply going to ask in a voicemail. So the Mufti has no idea what you're asking. He's going to have to listen to this voicemail. The other people, 256 other people in the group, they have no idea whether this question is private, whether it's relevant, whether it's real, whether what. They have to listen to your entire message because they want to learn Islam. So now what you've done, this is what the impact on the Mufti. You said, you know what, I am going to dump it to the Mufti in whichever way I think my question comes in my head. I don't care. I'm going to waste his time. My time, me, my time is more important than his time. I will dump my question in any which way possible, and I want him to understand it. I want him to respond to it as quickly as he can. Doesn't matter how cryptic, badly spelled, badly formatted my question is, not my concern. His time is my time. Let me dump my question to him. Whichever way, let him respond. Many, many, many people in these WhatsApp groups, they do that. However way they speak, they just cannot take the time to formulate their own questions, and they dump it. So now the end result of that is, as I said when we started learning under Sheikh Abu Yusuf, the first thing he said, formulate your questions. Think about what you're asking. Okay. Again and again, and I don't want to go into this WhatsApp. Whenever you sit with a scholar, okay, you ask the question. They expect you to digest the information, churn it in your head, understand it, then let the question come out of your mouth, or in this case, your fingers, which are typing, or whatever it may be. The person who simply dumps whatever comes in their head, they're not really serious learners of any kind, okay, whatsoever. Let's carry on. So how can we run this bi-directional WhatsApp groups, ifta groups, effectively? So this is me, again, me. Don't say salam, because your salam is going to cost 256 people their battery life, their data, their time, and everything else. If somebody does say salam, don't say walaikum assalam to them. Just say walaikum salam in your heart and your mind, and the obligation is fulfilled. You don't have to type it out. The Sheikh has answered your question, don't say Jazakallah. Because again, 256 people you're saying it to. Don't put videos and news about Kashmir, okay? Because that is not the purpose of this group. The purpose of this group is for you to ask questions and for other to get their questions answered. There are plenty of groups. Go join Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can talk about Kashmir, or any forums. You can talk about Kashmir to your heart's content. Same thing with Palestine. Israel might be doing something in Palestine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save the Muslims of Palestine and assist them. There's no reason for you to flood the group, the other 256 people, kill their battery and their data and their time by talking about Palestine. Rohingya Muslims, mashallah, encourage your community, your masajid, and everybody else to do something about the Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help their plight. Ameen. That is not the purpose of the group. What is the purpose of the group? Right here. Ask your questions. If your question is not answered, ask a follow-up question. No problem. Second, third, fourth time, but stick to the point of the group, which is it's an ulama group. It is not a social activist group. Ask your questions, ask for follow-up, do it as many times as possible. So now if you mind these simple tips, what happens? Here's a mufti, bidirectional communication. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times it by 256 to people. Job done. Very simple. All you have to do is stick to. And now some of the ulama, they may have, rules which are slightly different, but most of them, what I've seen is they want people to ask the question and they will reply to the people. That's it. Many ulama join the groups and these, so it starts with a single mufti or a couple of muftis or scholars, and then they form a team and they start answering questions. That's absolutely fine. No problem with that. You can help them by being on your best behavior. By being on your best behavior, again, as I said, mistakes will be made. Sometimes you will go into the mode and you will say Jazakallah. That's fine. Don't compound your error by saying sorry. Okay. Say to one of the admins, sorry about that, I forgot. Put your hand up, no problem. Nobody's going to kick you out or anything like that. But understand the penny has to start dropping in your head. There are hundreds of WhatsApp groups amongst Muslims which are complete waste of time. All these people do is dump information. Half the time it's fake news, unverified, ridiculous, makes no sense. Okay. If a mufti or a scholar has taken the time, when you tahajjud, wake up, set your alarm, wake up for tahajjud, lift your hands and make dua for his mufti who's taken the time to serve you. They have their family, they have their life, they have taken the time to answer your questions. Make dua that Allah gives barakah in their life, but help them run the group. Don't run amok. Okay. Don't become arrogant by saying, you know what, I've just said salam, I'm just going to leave. That's another problem with Muslims these days. When you point out something, you know what these people do? Tantrum problems. Okay, all I've said is Jazakallah, and the admin is telling me, please don't do that. You know what, I'm just going to leave. That's your loss. No problem. But if you can curtail your behavior, Alhamdulillah, you can benefit from the knowledge, you can benefit from the time of the scholar, and inshallah, do it with the reward. Do it with the intention that you're not going to inconvenience other people, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.